Hey everyone, Professor Baldwin here. Let's look at how to solve a quadratic using completing the square. Remember, with completing the square, you need your constant to be on the right-hand side, and you need a leading coefficient of 1. First step, let's add 7 to both sides to get that constant on the right. That takes us to 4x squared minus 8x equals 7. Now we need a leading coefficient of 1. And to do that, we're just going to divide everything by 4. Divide the first term by 4, the second term, and that constant on the right by 4. Now we simplify, and we have x squared minus 2x equals 7/4. Now, to complete the square, you're going to take your value of b, divide it by 2, and then square it. And our value of b here is -2. So we have -2 divided by 2 squared. And we simplify inside the parentheses, and we have -1 squared. And this is equal to just 1. So that's the value we need to add to both sides in order to complete the square. But keep track of this value, -1. The value, the b over 2 simplified, is actually what your factors are for completing the square. I'll show you in a second. Now that we know the value we need to add to both sides to complete the square, this 1, we're going to add it to both sides. That gives us x squared minus 2x plus 1 on the left, and 7/4 plus 1 on the right. Now, we completed the square, which means when we factor the left-hand side, we have something squared, a binomial squared. And because we have a leading coefficient of 1, the first term of the binomial is going to be x. And then that second term is that b over 2 that we found earlier and simplified, or here, -1. Now the right-hand side, we need to continue to simplify that. So 7/4 plus 1, which is the same as 4/4. So we need to take x minus 1 squared equals 11/4. And that is what we need to solve. And remember, to solve this, we need to get rid of the squared on the left-hand side. So we take the square root. And we take the square root of the left and of the right. Let's take the square root of this and the square root of this. On the left, the square root cancels out that squared, and we get x minus 1. And on the right, we get plus or minus the square root 11/4. And let's add 1 to both sides. So we have x equals 1 plus or minus the square root of 11/4. But we can simplify this. We can't take the square root of 11, but we can take the square root of 4. So we have 1 plus or minus the square root of 11/2, which was the square root of 4. Now, my math lab wants you to have these with one fraction. So the plus or minus has to be in the numerator and a common denominator of 2. So we need to find that common denominator, which is 2, which means our whole number 1 is the same as 2/2. And we still have plus or minus the square root of 11/2. And we need to simplify that so that it's one fraction. So our numerator is going to be 2 plus or minus the square root of 11 over that common denominator of 2. So this is the final answer that my math lab prefers.